All right, so we got our slideshow working. Everything's working in the browser. At least the front end side is kind of all working. Um, so now we basically need to build the back end, how we're going to add the slides into like a database, and then we need to pull those that backend data into the slider, and then it should be working. We should be able to edit the slides, add them, change the titles or the subtitles, or change the links or the buttons or whatever we want to do via the backend, right? So that's basically what this video is going to be focusing on. So as we see, we have the slides here, but I guess to get started, right, we should kind of think about how we want to build this. So we know, looking at these, right, we can kind of get looking at the slides and the code, we can kind of get a glimpse of the data that we're going to need. So see, we have a couple different types of slides that we got to deal with. So there's like a full width slide, which I think is the first one that you come to. So this is the full width slide. There's a half width that has these two, which is this one. So you got the title and stuff on one side and then an image on the other. So we'll need to, I guess, count for the ability to take this half and half. The next one is also a half and half, but so that one has the image first and then the text. So I guess need to be able to adjust that. Then we have a background that's a video, and it's basically a full width slide, but the background is different. So I guess nothing's really different between the full width and the video one, other than the fact that this one's got a background of video. So if we make this one have a customizable background, I think we only need one full width slide. So we'll have to account for that. And then the last one, I guess, is another full width slide as well, just with a background of image. So that is a couple things that we need to be concerned about when we build out essentially our database or our admin panel to handle this. It looks like there's a couple buttons on most of the slides. Oh yeah, the navigation will need to. So people would probably want to be able to put their own text for the slide and then maybe choose an icon. Although I looked in this a little bit, I think these are a CSS sprites or a sprite image, and so it's not like they have the choice of just any icon they want. But we might be able to work with something, because I think Voyager already kind of provides icons, so we may be able to kind of tie into that already, but that may not be in this video. We may have to. This one I'm mostly going to be focusing on getting the slide built in the back end, and then also connecting the two, right? So we may not be worried about those icons as much. So let's see. Okay, so let's just start with the simplest one. I guess the most advanced one is really just either of these half widths. The other ones are really the same, right? There's a full width, it's just a different background that's loaded, and that's really not that big a deal to handle, I don't think. So let's go ahead and comment out the ones that we won't be looking at too much, just so that we can easily reference things in our code or whatever. So I think we got rid of these last two, and then right now we reload this, it should only have 3. All this stuff still works. Okay, perfect. All right, so let's see. So we got a title, kind of like a little blurb about the slide, or some sort of like marketing text beyond the title. Maybe kind of like a call to action, if you will. We can call it that. This one has a single button. These ones have 2 buttons. So we need to basically have the ability to take 1 or 2 buttons. So this is pretty much the same though. Title, marketing text. So the only thing is the half width. So I guess we'll have to have something that designates half width, and then either the image is going to be first, or like basically if you want it on the left or you want the image on the right. How to handle that? Well, let's just go ahead and start building out the simplest one, and then maybe we can tweak stuff and add stuff. So I guess we can just hop back into the admin side of our Voyager site. All right, so now we're actually kind of diving into some of the features that make Voyager really awesome, and why I think it's kind of an interesting tool to add to our, like our Laravel, essentially library of things. So this is the database panel. So this allows you to kind of create these bread options, and you can also kind of create new tables in your database here. So if we actually look at our database currently, we have that one doesn't really matter. We got pages, posts, roles, settings, password, permission stuff. All that stuff is pretty much coming with Voyager just out of the box. But what we're going to need to do, right, is we're going to need to create essentially like a slideshow, something that just basically allows us to have multiple slideshows, because we could just create one, right? But most likely the whole reason you want to do this with the database is so that you can create multiple if you want to. So like, let's say you wanted to have a different slideshow on a different page, right? You want to be able to just pull in that slideshow easily and independently. So we need something that's basically like, create slideshow, and then maybe like a sub table that's going to be the slides, which we would attribute back to that slideshow with an ID or something like that, right? So let's go ahead and create just a slideshows table, I guess we'll call it. Slideshows. We can go ahead and create a model, which Voyager will automatically do for us. And then basically we're kind of creating a migration here as we go. So this one's basically going to be a title. That's going to just be a string or a varchar, if you will. I don't think we want it to null. We definitely kind of want that, because we need this will you use in the back end here to identify which slideshow you're wanting to work with. We could add timestamps. They're not that big a deal. Let's see. Do we need anything other than a title here, though? I guess we could say like published or not, right? Like active or not active. What do we want to call that? Let's say published. And we'll say that is it a tiny int that we want? I really wish it was like a Boolean, but I think the tiny int is kind of the one that we should use for that. I think that's what it is. So let's see. The default value we will want to be not published. And then let's see. Anything else do we want? A title. I mean, you could add a description. It's not really necessary, but just in case, it's easy to add it. So let's go ahead and add it. This one can be nullable, so we'll leave that unchecked. This one really can't be null because we have a default value, so it's going to get set anyway. Can we... Actually, can't reorder these here. It's kind of annoying. I guess we could change it, but I'm not too worried about it. With the order of the columns, it doesn't really matter that much. So let's see. Title, a description. Is there anything else we need? No, I think that should do that. So let's go ahead and add the timestamps. That's good. And it says to create the model. So right now, if we look into our app directory, we have page, portfolio, post, and user. So now if we run create new table, with any luck, this should successfully create the slideshows table. We come down, we have our slideshows here in the admin. We come back to our SQL Pro, we refresh, we have our slideshows table. Looks like it's got our fields that we created. And if we come back, it looks like we have a slideshow model. So we, in one little step there, created, a database table model, set that all up. So now if we want to add a bread, because we want to be able to edit this easily through the admin panel. So that's all good. So I think now that one, we don't need to worry about the ID because that's kind of going to be handled automatically for us. Let's see. This is going to be a text. So this is like the type of HTML input field that we want. In this case, this is going to be text. This is really going to be a... This one might be a checkbox. Maybe it's a radio button. Depends on what that looks like. Let's just stick with checkbox because I know that should work. And then this will be a text area. And if we really wanted to get fancy, one of the things that Voyager provides, right, is a rich text box editor. So that way people can add like links or something if they wanted to. But this is really just an admin description, so it really doesn't matter all that much. So for right now, I think that that's good. So let's submit this. So we created a new bread for that. We have a slideshows here. Now, if we want, we can go back into our menu builder, go into the admin, and then we have our slideshows is already here. But since we're going to be using this a lot, let's go ahead and move it up because I don't want to have to scroll the menu every time I want to go to this. Let's edit it, and we can add a icon to it so it's easier to see. Maybe I just need to click this. Oh, fun times. Okay. Well, for right now, let's go to media. Which one are you using? We'll copy that because it'll probably be the same one. Icon clash, Voyager updates. All right, so now we have slideshows here is the second item, which matches our here. So let's actually go check this out and see what we get now. So now all we've done, right, is a couple little admin panels that's been able to let us build this little slideshows admin panel pretty easily. Right? We haven't really had to write any code to do this. And this is where I think Voyager is pretty powerful because it allows you to build data types pretty fast, and then you can it already has kind of a built-in interface for you to start adding stuff. So yeah, this checkbox is perfect. That's what we wanted. So we can then come in here, add our title. So this will be like our main, or our, because it's not the main page, so we'll call it the gallery page slideshow. This is the hero slider on the gallery page. Something like that, right? So we save that, and then we can check in our database, and now we have a entry that is not published into our thing. Now that's cool, but we still don't have the ability to add any slides yet. So that's going to be our next step. So again, we're going to have to go create this in our database tool. So we're going to create this, and now this will be slides. We'll go ahead and create a model for that as well. That we want to be that. Let's call this the slide show ID. It's going to be integer, going to be unsigned, probably going to be not null because all slides should be attached to a slideshow. This we're going to need to say essentially what the well, no, that's not necessarily the image. So this one we need the headline, right? This is going to be a varchar, not null as well. Then we're also going to need a call to action text. Let's see. Yeah, let's call it call to action text. And this too will be a varchar. Let's see. We're going to go ahead and need the ability to do a background. And this will be, I think it'll end up being a varchar as well. So let's see, let's go back to here. What are we going to need to in this? So we got our headline or our title, right? That's kind of what that is. This is the call to action text. Oh yeah, buttons. So we'll need add a new one. We're going to call this button 1, which will be, I guess it'll be the, let's call this the button one link, and that's going to be just text, no, not text, varchar. And then we'll need button one text. So this will be the content of the button, right? So like if we were to go back to our slide, right? So this is going to be the gallery. So this is going to be the what, like this article and download, the start or learn more, like that actual text, right? So that's what we're trying to add right now, is a place to store that. So there's that. Now some of them had 2 buttons, so we're gonna do this kind of a sloppy way for at least just real quick to get this going. Let's see, button 2 text, and let's see, another varchar. Okay, so there's that. So let's go back to the code again. So we got our headline, call to action stuff. We got a place for this link, and we have for the text for this one. So that one's pretty much done. I guess we need to say if it's full width or the 2 half widths, right? So let's add a full width, I guess. Let's see. So that'll be a tiny int, and I guess this will be true. So this is going to be one, like, by default, it's going to be a full width slide. And then if you turn it off, it's going to be half and half. And then we will need to either adjust to be able to say image first or image second, which really I guess could be another Boolean. So, but it really shouldn't be set if you have the full width. So let's say image first. And then we'll set that to be a tiny int as well. And there's that. So that's kind of a quick and dirty way of doing this. There may be some issues we may find along the way. We may have to make some adjustments. Let's see. It's one before we do this. Let's think about this one more time. We got that, length, and that. So if the second one's null, then I guess we're not going to put a second button out. So that should handle that. The secondary button will automatically be button 2, so we can handle that. How are we going to do this? So, well, I guess that's not going to be the background. So we would need one for non-background image, and I guess that'll be a varchar. So this one could be tricky, but hopefully we can figure this out. All right, so that should be okay. We should be able to handle that. The video we may have to adjust, or I don't know if we can. I don't know if Voyager supports video upload. We may have to adjust that. All right, so I think that I guess this is like a good place to start. Let's go ahead and add timestamps. And we got the model. Okay, so let's go ahead and create this table, just like our last one. Perfect. So we come back, got our slideshow, we got our slides. All right, so now we want to add bread to our slides. So that's all good. This looks pretty good to me. All right, so that we can leave alone. The slideshow ID, let's just leave that one alone for right now. This is going to be text. Call to action text will be a text. The background is going to be I really wish it was a media upload instead of an image, but maybe it'll work anyway, so we can try that. Button 1 will be a text, button link, and then this will be text. This will be text. Oops, not text area. But this will be text Full width is going to be a checkbox. Image first will be a checkbox. This is going to be an image. And then we want to create a relationship. Oh, we need to create this bread first. Okay, so let's go ahead and create this bread because I think we're good. So we'll come back and we want to now edit this bread. So this is another cool thing about Voyager is we can create these relationships here. So let's see. This is going to belong to our slideshow. The model. What does this say in here? App category. Okay, so we're going to say app slideshow, I think. From which column from the slide? Okay, so we want to use this. And selection details. Display the slideshow. We want to display the title, I think. And this. But yes, we want to store the ID. Okay. So I think that this should work. So let's go ahead and create it. Okay. So now this is defining a relationship between slides and slideshow, which is pretty awesome. And so far, again, we haven't really had to write a whole lot of code for this, right? So there should be slides. So let's go ahead and edit our menu again so that we don't have to continue. Oops, wrong one. We don't have to continue to scroll the admin menu just to see what option we're trying to get to, right? So, uh-oh, what happened? All right, that's fine. We want this to come up. So I wonder if we can nest that underneath. All right, so that says it's saved. Okay, so we can refresh. Slideshows. So that's slides. All right, but that doesn't allow that. When we nest that menu, it doesn't allow us to click slideshows. So we may need to add another item that's slide shows. Yeah, we can still use that. That works. Let's see. Update this. Okay. So we're going to move this up. Now we're going to edit this, and here we're going to say admin slideshows. Update that, and then we're going to nestle that, and then bring this guy. Okay. So now if we refresh, now we should have slideshow. And then let's go ahead and we'll do the same. All right, so now we got our slideshows. We can create slideshows and create slides if we want to, but the slides really should be connected to a slideshow. All right, so we already have gallery page on slideshow, so we have that. So we want to add slides. So now we can say, first headline. Headline of first slide. Call to action. This is pretty awesome. You should check out Voyager. Let's see, what is the control group Voyager? Yeah, we'll throw this thing in there. All right, so button 1 text, we could say GitHub, or let's say view on GitHub. That'll go to there. Button 2 link. So that'll be that, and then we could say docs, let's say. So this one, let's go with full width. We don't have to worry about that, so we can just save. Hopefully that saved everything. Let's see what's going on in our... All right, so there we got that, which is looking good. Full width, cool. All right, so now this still doesn't work, right? Because we still haven't brought a We still haven't done anything to pull that data, but now, as you can see, if you noticed, so this one, we created the one slideshow a little while ago that's got this ID, and this is the one that we're intending to put on our gallery page. And then because we created that relationship, when we created this slide, it automatically added it to this slideshow. And that was because here, let's see. Isn't there a way to edit this? Maybe there's a permissions that we need to grant. Let's see. Settings, no. Roles, maybe. Admin, So let's see, database. Let's see. Forget how to. No, it should be granted permissions. Okay. Let's see. Well, I'm not seeing how to edit this at the moment. What am I missing? Did I mess something up on the database? That could happen. Let's see. Edit bread. All right. Well, so let's see. Let me go ahead and check something real quick. All right, so let's create a. So like, I guess there's a couple ways we need to think about this. We could go in and like edit the controller to get this slideshow for us, but really the slideshow isn't really the page. The slideshow is kind of separate from the page in the way that I'm thinking about it. So I was thinking we could create a widget that Voyager has added, and then we can use that widget to bring in the slideshow into our Blade template. So I'd say let's just give that a shot, and maybe if there's questions, maybe I can go over different ways to approach it. So let's see, we got artisan make widget, and we're gonna say gallery slideshow, let's say. Okay, so that's gonna create, that created this widgets folder and created this gallery slideshow widget. So basically, Voyager uses a package, it kind of bundles it with Voyager. It's actually this one. So this is basically what we're using to create this widget, and this allows us to create, like we can access this widget pretty easily in our Blade by just doing something like this. So actually, we could go widget, or let's try to get the widget working first before we really worry about pulling this in. So what we're going to want to do, right, is essentially pull this in and say gallery slideshow, and hopefully that will be enough for us. Did this automatically create our widgets? Yes. Okay, so there's that. So what we can do is we can take all this section that includes the slideshow, right, and we can then put that into this new Blade file that is created for the widget that we created, and then we should be able to Now reload this, nothing will have changed because we're not pulling in the data yet, but basically we have this, like this widget is already pulling in this view, and then also it's loading this class when we run, or when that widget, when the gallery show view is accessing this widget's shortcode in Blade, it's going to the gallery slideshow and running this run, which is returning the gallery slideshow, right? So we just moved all that section code for the slideshow into the view for the widget, right? So now what we can do is we can actually use our app slideshow, and we should be able to get hang on. All right, so you could think about this kind of as similar to like a controller action, but it's really just confined to a single Blade view. So we could do, let's see, like, so we used our use slideshow at the top, so we should be able to get this slideshow first, even though that's not really going to be particularly good. We're not displaying anything about the slideshow. The slideshow stuff is really about the, but yeah, so let's just do that though. Okay, so now if we were to like die and dump this slideshow, we should be able to see what is in there here. So we get the first slideshow, which, so there's only one right now, so that's why that's working. But what we really want, right, are the slides, because the slideshow, like I said, is mostly for the admin. So we really want the slides, which is null, and that's probably because the slideshow doesn't have the relationship. It's defined in the admin, but we haven't defined that in our code, in our model yet, right? So we need to define that. So let's do slides, and then we can say this has many slide class, and that might be enough for it. All right, so now, yeah, we got one, which there's only one because we only added one at this point. So then that is, so now we're getting the slides, which we could pass this along to our view, right? So we could say slides is equal to this, and then here, right, what we're going to do is we're going to do basically a for each slides as slide, and then we're going to kind of make this thing make each of this slide stuff for us. So if we wanted to right now, let's do slide headline, I think. Slide call to action text, I think it was. And then this one is going to be slide button 1 link. And that's going to do, or link the slide button 1 text. So let's see now what we get when we refresh that. Okay, so this is the first line of first slide. It's pretty awesome. Check it out on Voyager. And then this link to the GitHub repo works pretty well. But we actually had 2 slides, right? So we can now, on this one, we could bring in both of them. So let's go ahead and do that. So now this one is going to be slide button 2 link, and this will be slide button 2 text. And we can refresh again, and now we got the docs link working, which is pretty awesome. And I accidentally closed the, that was not what I wanted to do. All right, let's do this. All right, so that's pretty much working. I mean, it's pulling in all the stuff we had for that first slide. So now the problem is, right, what do we do about these half width and multiple buttons, and let's say a slide only has a single button. All right, so I'm cutting episode 18 a little short. I actually recorded more, but because this is already at like 35 minutes for this one episode, I wanted to go ahead and cut it out, and that way you could kind of have it in a little bit more digestible chunk. So I'm going to go ahead and upload this one, and then I'm going to finish editing the rest of this into like the next episode. So we should be able to get out at least a couple episodes this week. So hopefully this is helpful in showing you where we're going. And then the next piece, which will come out pretty shortly, we'll finish out how to finish out adding these, or at least won't finish it out, but it'll do the next parts of adding the slides to the slideshow.